Hello and welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Jen Rhodes and I'm the Assistant Director of the Textile Design program at Thomas Jefferson University. I'm also a proud alum of Philadelphia Textiles class of 1996. I'm excited to welcome you all to the final session of our very first webinar series, This is Textile Design. Today's session, Textile Design in Action, is presented by Angela Leonard. Angela is the Manager of Product Development at TY Group and Harbor Linen, a Bed Bath & Beyond company. Angela is a graduate of our Textile Design class of 2010, and she stayed with us to earn her MBA in 2012. She's excited to share her experiences and give you a glimpse into her world as a textile designer. Throughout Angela's presentation, I'll be serving as the moderator for Q&A. Comments are always welcome in the live chat, but please use the Q&A button on your screen to send a question, which I'll be reserving for the end of Angela's talk. As a special treat today, we'll be concluding our webinar series with closing remarks from Mike Leonard. Mike is our Dean of our School of Design and Engineering. We'll also have a brief Q&A session after Dean Leonard's remarks. Please note, all microphones will remain muted throughout. Take it away, Angela.
Hello, everyone. Let's see how this goes. I'm incredibly excited to be here with everyone today. I love talking about textiles. It's my favorite thing. I can bore people on buses. I don't care. I'll just talk about it. And that's why I'm so thrilled that not only is it my job, but that I get the opportunity to come and talk to groups like this and kind of explain how I got there and what I do. So let me click on the right screen. So this is a timeline. It's just a kind of an overview. I found out that textile design existed in 2005. Before then, I had no idea. I thought I was going to have to go into fashion design. I was terrified. I don't quite understand fashion. So when I found out that textiles were a thing, I was hooked. I went to Philadelphia University when it was Philadelphia University, now it's Jefferson. I got my BS in textile design. I also had an internship in CAD design with LFUSA. Then I got my MBA, and while I was doing that, I had an internship with United Fabrics, which is buying a textile jobber in New Jersey that also hires alums like myself. Lindsay works there and is a fabulous alum. After that, I got what I thought was my dream job at Woolrich. It was designing plaids at a mill in the US, and it was amazing. And it was only once I was working there that I realized that part of what I loved about textiles and part of the reason why I stayed to get the MBA is I'm really interested in the systematic business side of textiles. What the minimum order quantity is, how the loom's set up, how wide can the fabric go, all of that really fascinates me. So I got an opportunity to change companies, and I now work for what is TY Group and Harbor Linen. We are a member of Bed Bath & Beyond's group of companies, and we sell primarily to hospitality and a little bit to long-term care, which is like rehabilitation centers, nursing homes, a little bit to that market. These are some of our customers. In our current situation and the current times, looking at some of these customers might be throwing up a bit of a red flag. Carnival Cruise Line, Virgin Hotels, Equinox, a gym chain. We are working very hard and very smart to come up with new solutions in this rather challenging time for these types of customers. We work to service the hospitality industry. We've noticed because of this, with hotels wanting to open up, there is a need for more clean products and how we can assure our customers' guests, so our customers' customers, that the rooms that they're staying in are clean. That being said, we are a business-to-business company. We don't sell to the public, we don't sell retail. We sell to hotels primarily, and so we're selling through a hotel to the hotel's guest, and our products are what bring guests back to that hotel. So we start with a bed, and we come up with ways that we can make it easy for our customers to give the guests the best experience. If they're a warmer climate, how many layers do they have? If they're, need cooling solutions, what can we do to give them the right products to make that bed the perfect night's sleep? So we do bedrooms, and we do everything except mattresses. Although I think we might do mattresses, but we do duvet covers, mattress pads. We do clocks. We do all of the little electronics that you'll see in a hotel, tea kettles, all of it. We do robes, slippers, pillows, basic bedding, which is all of the filled products on a bed, pillows, duvets. We do bathrooms, so we do all the terry. We also do amenities, which are the little soaps that people get. And we do pools, so pool towels, lounge chair covers, and I would say even pool towels and lounge chair covers are kind of where the fun of textiles can be, because you get a little bit more freedom. We have two different versions of product development in the company. One version is proactive, where we go out into the market and we find a white space. So there are a couple of trade shows and market weeks that we'll go to in a year. We probably go every other year because we don't really have seasonality. We're not operating to a deadline. So we kind of go when we know we need new ideas. We'll go to Heimtex in Germany, or we'll go to Market Week in New York. And we'll try and find those white spaces that we can launch new product into. The other type of product development that we do is reactive product development, and that's where I spend a lot of my time, and that is customer request driven. A hotel comes to us and says that, they're redoing their entire hotel and they want, brand new sheets for their bed, and they want to make a statement with it. So we take their ideas and we come up with some things, and I have a bunch of examples to show you. But here's where technical textiles, design, and business all come together. Unlike retail, where you design a product and either a customer buys it or doesn't buy it, when we're reacting to a customer's request and developing for them, they're assuming that they're going to buy it from us. So we need to meet their needs directly. And in our hospitality industry, laundering is a big deal. No matter how many times that we give out laundering instructions, guaranteed everything that we give to the hotel is going to be washed high heat, lots of bleach. So everything has to withstand that. It has to have color fastness, it has to be shrink fast, there are flammability requirements in certain states, and it can't lint or grab like hair from different guests. You don't want that when you go into a hotel room. So there are all these sorts of beyond simple textile parts of the product that we need to be aware of when we develop for a customer. So here are some examples. We, like I was saying, are dealing with the hospitality industry, which is now very interested in clean. What we're doing now is creating presentations for customers, utilizing their logos on masks and trying to give them new ideas and opportunities in that way to show to their customers that they are focused on a clean element, but also to maintain their brand presence. So this is just an example of a presentation I did for Equinox. And a lot of what I do in design and development requires mapping onto pieces. Sometimes that works really well, and sometimes it's a little hazy. This was done very quickly, so my mapping skills are not as precise as they should be, but it got the message across. This is another example. We had a customer came to us wanting a really layered textural look on the bed. I don't have the money or in my budget or the ability from my vendors to get samples of everything. So I can get swatches of things and then build together a CAD version, a mapped CAD version of what the bed would look like. And we do that a lot. It's easier to get customers to narrow down based on CADed versions than it is to get samples of everything, build the bed, and then it's almost giving them too much of an opportunity to have opinions. We like them to have their opinions before we get to the sampling stage. This is an example of a concept that we did for Margaritaville, who has a chain of kind of like hotel, resort locations. And in this, we were trying to use one aspect of their brand, Son of a Sailor, and apply it to everything in terms of brand identity. So that we did a blue line on the bed. Scarves in hotels are very big. The kind of denotes the foot of the bed. But an actual physical scarf, an actual physical piece, is really cumbersome for housekeeping to manage. So we've come up with a couple of ideas to work around housekeeping, having to deal with yet another piece in a bed when they're having to reset the room within, I believe it's 7 minutes is the industry standard. So one idea is to do embroidery, but here's business meets textiles. Embroidery, while it would look really great, is currently, I believe, 30.7% duty on all embroidery coming in from China. So we have to come up with a way of doing jacquards where the color is only a weft insertion and only goes across in one direction, so they get the same crisp white look and then the pop of color with no added cost, because jacquards don't have the same duty rate. This also includes, we did amenities line with the same kind of branding and logoing. Here's another version we did with printed bedding to try and, show this. Another alum, Carly Davis, worked on some of this. She worked with us for a few years before moving on to, better things for her, but some of these are her ideas, and I think they came out really nice. So this was a printed pool towel. This is one of their logos printed across 2 pillows, so it kind of spanned the bed. So that's one way of doing it. Then embroidery. So this was another Margaritaville. This is another Margaritaville property, Compass, and we were given the direction of using their Compass logo and their orange color to add interest to the bedding. So what we showed them in this presentation was, here's our recommendation for what of our products to use this on. Here's our recommendation where to put it. And as you can see, these aren't overly elaborate mappings. It's more important to show how they will look on the finished bed as the housekeeper would set it up. So this embroidery is actually on the wrong side of the sheet, so that when it's turned down at the end of before the guest comes into the room, it shows in the right place. He also showed what you could do where you put the actual logo on the turned down piece. This is a jacquard. We show our jacquards. We usually do jacquards shown in grayscale just to show the detail. White is hotel standard. Everyone wants white sheets. We don't really deal with color much in terms of full sheeting and color. So we try to show them, white on white options that are still eye-catching and interesting. We also try to do designs in jacquard that either serve a purpose. So I'll show you one on the next slide where it's as a scarf, but this is an all over. So if they decided that they wanted their pillowcases in the same pattern, we could use the same fabric and meet minimum requirements from our vendors. There's a lot of that kind of thinking going on. So this is a jacquard, gray on gray a white on white jacquard with just a line of their compasses. This is it along the turn down. This is just under turn down, and this is as a scarf in quotes. So you can see we try to use their same elements over as they wish, but we wanted to give them different ideas. Then we showed them something truly conceptual for us. We haven't done this before, but we wanted to try it with a vendor of ours who offered it, where we could take a giant print of the logo, a dispersed print of the logo, and put it in an engineered fashion on the sheet. It really only works as a print because if we had to engineer it into the sheet as a jacquard, our consumption would skyrocket and we wouldn't meet MOQs. We'd be tipped into the next MOQ bracket and we would never meet it. Minimum order quantity bracket. So we would never actually make enough to use all of it. So we came up with an idea where we were going to try and print it. Then I want to show you a pool towel collection. And this is where textile design can get a little frustrating on my end, but I'll talk you through it. A customer came to us with their logo and their name, and they wanted to see a bunch of different pool towel designs in this kind of sculpted style, if you can see the pull tails down here. So I went in and I took a couple of days and I came up with some really cool designs, I thought, that kind of went with what they were looking for. So this is just one option with embroidery on two edges of the towel, and here's a design in the center. And then this is the reference for detail, and this would be their logo done in this style as a jacquard, where some has loops and some doesn't. Then this was another idea for how to do a two-color jacquard with their logo going across it. So I showed them all of that, and they came back to me and said, we want stripes. That's all we want. We just want some stripes and our logo at the hem. I said, okay, so we'll make samples like this. They also said that they wanted to do their logo as embroidery on the back of the page, on the back of the lounge chair cover. The reason I took you through all that is to show you when samples go wrong. So we took their feedback that they wanted towels with stripes and they wanted a lounge chair cover with like a 5-inch logo in the center. And we went to our vendors and said, we need samples made this way. The samples came back 4 to 6 weeks later, and they were not done that way. They were done slightly differently. So as you can see, the logo is supposed to be below the stripes. The stripe goes through the logo. We don't want to damage our sales rep's relationship with the customer. So what I did instead was created this page in the presentation that we were sending them that explained what the issues were and that they could be corrected for production, and pointed out that, if we can get your approval for the technical or the color, then we can get a swatch made for you of the corrected towel. The same goes for the lounge chair cover. It was supposed to have a 5-inch by 5-inch logo. They did it at 10 inches by 10 inches for some unknown reason. So when the customer puts it on their chair, and this is not their chair, this is just a chair we have in our showroom. Lounge chair covers are very tricky because every lounge chair is differently sized. It's incredibly annoying. When they put it on their lounge chair, it looks huge because it's just like giant. It's 10 inches. So it's kind of smacking you in the face. And they only really wanted a nice 5-inch logo. So we just told them, is the technique correct? Is the construction of the cover correct? We can fix the embroidery design and we can send you a pre-production sample. Then a large portion of my day is how I send information to vendors. I find this stuff fascinating. I'm sorry if I'm boring people. So I put everything in a chart. I spend so much of my time in PowerPoint and Excel that you would be just shocked. But by spending the time there and learning my way around it and figuring things out, I am able to set up a, oops, sorry guys. I am able to set up a template, a grid template that I send to every vendor for every project, and they know exactly where to look for every bit of information. And I think that that is incredibly textile-like. It feels like a woven sometimes. This goes here, this goes there, ends and picks of data, which I actually really like. And then I show, and a technical drawing so that they get the idea of here's where the embroidery goes, here's where the flange on the pillowcase is, here's where the opening of the pillow is. This allows me to speak to vendors in other countries where there might be language barriers. There's definitely time differences, which can be very frustrating for people. If you send out a tech pack in, around noon, you're not going to hear back until noon the next day. And that can be very frustrating. Whereas this way, at least I know that when I hear back from them, it will be with answers, not with more questions, unless those questions are incredibly specific, because I know I've given them all of the information. Okay, so I'm wrapping up so that we can do Q&A because I like answering questions. So design and business. I think you need both. And I think that Jefferson really sets you up in the best way possible to work in the textile industry, in all versions of the textile industry, be it in testing or in development and design or in tech packs or, all of it, because of the keys it gives you. So from design, we're passionate about our work, but we're not obstinate. I know I get people who give me critique and criticism. I learned through portfolio reviews and crits in studio classes what is the actual feedback about the work, and not to internalize it and take it as feedback against me, because it's always trying to make the work better. Adapt quickly to changes in project briefs. I get customers all the time that say they want to do something in 100% cotton, and 6 months later they come back and say, no, we meant 60-40 cotton poly. And you kind of have to figure out what vendor to go to and who to go to, and what does that mean in terms of supply chain very quickly. Design and technological expertise. I can tell you completely truthfully that the fact that I went to Jefferson's textile program has given the people I work with confidence that I know what I'm talking about. It's just like industry standard. Oh, they went there, they've got it. We can trust what they're saying, which is great. And we can think around corners, which is always good. From the business side of things, you kind of have to think about factors beyond the aesthetic. I have to think about factors beyond what something looks like. Is it reproducible? Is a huge thing for me. Am I going to be able to reproduce it without buying 1,500 of them because the hotel only needs 50? I spend a heck of a lot of time in spreadsheets. I do think that there's a little bit of that technical brain, that little bit of, like I said, ends and picks of Excel that just kind of works with like a woven's brain. You learn to translate information between management and customer facing. So even customer and then vendor facing. I showed you the two, like we do these very nice presentations for customers. And then when it comes time to go to the vendor, here's a chart, here's all my information. It's very easily laid out. And we know what the bottom line is. If a customer is only going to spend so much, I can't be showing them stuff that's amazingly out of their price range. I kind of have to keep my head about me. One last thing before I wrap this up, and hopefully there are questions because I'm going to answer some. And that is, I have a couple of book recommendations, and I believe Becky was going to try and capture some links to these because I forgot to add them. The Golden Thread is fantastic. It goes through the history of fabric. I listen to audiobooks when I'm working, and I'm a huge historical nonfiction junkie. It's what I love to listen to. So that's where these three came from. So The Golden Thread, highly recommend it. History of textiles, history of how people interacted with people who made textiles even, which is really fascinating. Corsets and Codpieces is also really good. It's a lot shorter, but it's about kind of the wacky textile costume kind of stuff that's gone on in history. If Walls Could Talk is a really good book, and it's about kind of the history of the bedroom and of the home. And since I deal mostly in what would be classified as home goods, even though we're doing it on an industrial scale, not so much into homes, it really kind of speaks to me like, oh, that's where duvet inserts came from? Why was this anyone's idea ever? Because they're very annoying to put inside a duvet cover. And then I think it's on Amazon Prime, there's like a 6-part series where they take paintings and then recreate the clothing worn in the paintings, and they go into how broadcloth is made and how dyeing was done in like the 1600s. It's really interesting. So that's a little bit of recommended reading and watching if you want to kind of get into the background of textiles. So I know I went super fast and I'm very sorry, but thank you for bearing with me. Hopefully that worked. So sorry if that was super, super fast.
Okay, it was great. And we do have questions waiting for you.
Awesome.
So we'll start with the first one. Do you have a favorite thing you've worked on?
A Favorite thing I've worked on? That's tricky. There's actually something back from Woolrich, and I don't have a picture of it handy, but I got to, weirdly enough, one of the places where wool is still used in abundance, well, abundance is actually a bad word, where it's still used frequently, is in shoes, like hiking boots and really cool stuff like that. And Woolrich partnered with Converse to do these little sheep jacquards on shoes. If I can find a picture, I'd have to post it somewhere, but that was definitely one of my favorites, just because it was true creativity. In terms of the thing I'm most proudest of, I have a very, well, slightly depressing answer. It is my project logbook Excel document. It is 1,500 lines of data about projects and customers, and it's got VLOOKUPs, and it's got dependent dropdowns, and it links to external documents, but it's what allows me to function and to bring all of the necessary information together to get products out to customers. So that's my dorky, businessy answer.
It was just fine, thanks. Do you often work with interior designers during each project?
We do. We will get, usually what we'll do is we'll get a deck from the interior designer, because there's so much in a hotel beyond the bedroom. I like working with designers. Interior designers are great. They tend to know what they're talking about. My least favorite maybe designs are the ones where we get an image of embroidery that they want to do that the wife of the owner designed, and they have they're so attached to this thing, and you're looking at it going, it'll never work and it's going to cost so much money. But a designer is a designer, and when you come back with constructive criticism, it tends to go a lot better than, we're not killing your baby, we just need to make it actually functionable. So we do work with interior designers. They're pretty great.
Where are you manufacturing? Mostly overseas, Europe?
So that is a tricky question in this day and age. Yes, we actually don't manufacture much in Europe. We have robe vendors in Turkey. We have sheet vendors in Pakistan. We actually work with an entirely woman-owned and operated mill in Pakistan, which is one of the things we're really proud to be able to support. Pakistan, India, and a lot in China. We have to do things at such a volume, and a lot of our goods, beyond the custom goods we make, the plain white sheets and towels, which is the bulk of what you see in hotels, have to be bought at such a quantity that we need to go where they're being mass produced in order to get kind of economy of scale coming out of it, which then allows us to do the more detailed custom work. And I know that there's a lot of backlash at the moment about dealing and working with vendors overseas, and it really should be, we want to bring it all back to the US, and I would be thrilled. It's just finding the infrastructure in the US has proved tricky for us. And I'll be honest, I always view my vendors overseas as partners. They have amazing textile knowledge. They have great skill, and they're up on everything, and they've got new innovation ideas. And I think that where we should go is to working with them and towards bringing the industry back to the US.
Thank you. I noticed some of the bed sheets were either 100% cotton or 100% poly. Do you ever design textiles that utilize a combination of different materials, or is it always 100%?
No, that is a great question. It just so happens that the slides I pulled for this fell into those two categories. However, and this is kind of a bit of a business meets textiles again, right? When I put presentations together, I'm always recommending a percentage, a thread count, because I don't want to give customers the freedom to make up their own. I want it to be on a running fabric that we're already making, that we can then utilize, like I said, economies of scale, build up that, we know how it's made, we know how it works. We have some sitting in the warehouse. We can, make the changes to benefit you, but we're not going to reinvent the wheel every time. So we primarily do 100% cotton. We do 80-20% cotton. We do 60-40 cotton poly. 80-20 cotton poly as well. Poly is really great in a hotel because it doesn't wrinkle as much. Everything that comes through a hotel in an industrial laundry goes right through an ironer. So any kind of frilly details or embroidery has to withstand that. So all of our embroidery thread is polyester. We tend to stay away from things like jute or hemp or linen even, because it will not last against heat and bleach, which is going to be done to it.
Thank you. So this isn't a question, it's just a comment from Lindsay at United. Amazing presentation, Angela.
Hi, Lindsay.
How have you seen your position evolving during customer demands to COVID?
So there's been a lot going on our end. And there's been a lot in my position evolving beyond textiles. When I first started, I was product development and marketing. And then as our team naturally kind of shrunk and changed as people moved on in their careers, I became in charge of primarily product development. With the recent kind of situation, I've kind of gotten back into marketing again. I spent all day yesterday and all day today updating our website, which I learned how to do yesterday. So it's been a bit of a challenge that way, but we are finding more customers asking for, and we're offering a wider range of hotel-specific solutions to cleanliness and to the guarantee of cleanliness. Pillow protectors, duvet protectors, and what those are not cases, not a pillowcase or a duvet cover, but another layer in between, because in hotels, washing pillows and duvets is incredibly expensive. It's expensive and it can be degrading to the products because of the fills and all of that. So what we did was we created waterproof, antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiviral protectors that can go on as a layer of protection, and then those can get washed as opposed to the pillow itself getting washed. It's a barrier. The pillow never comes in contact with the customer at all. It's completely safe, but it also saves a lot of wear and tear on those very expensive filled products that are what make that bed so nice to sleep in.
Thank you. Are any of your customers asking for products which are sustainably manufactured or fair trade products?
We care a lot about sustainability. We care a lot about ethical treatment of people, especially ethically sourced products. All of our cotton is ethically sourced. All of our poly is, we've been looking into recycled polyester. That's a big push. We have one cruise line customer who I'm really, really pushing, but given the current circumstances, I don't know how that's going to pan out, to use polyester made from reclaimed ocean plastic. So it would be another story they could tell, like in the ocean, there's all this plastic. We're now cruising on the ocean, but we're using it in a beneficial way. But given the current circumstances, it's a little bit dicey. That's actually been the response we've gotten, is right now they're just trying to get clean stuff in the hotel. And then the shift will come back of true sustainability, true going green kind of sourcing. All of our factories have to be Okotex certified. Everything has to be incredibly ethically managed. We have a lab that actually goes in and does all of our certifications of the product and of the factories themselves. Oh, amenities is a huge area where you're seeing a lot of, and it's one of those, the COVID situation has kind of twisted things around. Before, I would say March, a lot of hotels were moving away from single-use plastic tubes, which is, shampoo, conditioner, all of that. And instead we're moving into what were called eco pumps, which are wall-mounted, almost like retail pumps, the retail versions of shampoos, conditioners, body washes, all of that then could be refilled as opposed to getting a new plastic container for every stay. Now they're going the other way, and it's the single-use plastic that people are more comfortable with. So I think we're going to have to find a balance again, and I think it definitely will shift back to being eco-focused, But for right now, I think especially our customers, they just need people to come. They need people to stay.
Did the shutdown in China a few months back crush any of your project timelines, and how did you deal with that backlash?
That's a great question. So we lucked out in a huge way that the slowdown in China came on the heels of Chinese New Year, because we were already prepared for slowdown and shutdown. We'd already warned all of our customers that Chinese New Year was gonna, every year, this is what happens. You know, if you don't get your orders in by September, you're not gonna see anything until May. That's what happens, Chinese New Year. And we're very, very upfront about that with our customers and very on the point. And we about August are getting our vendors to send us their very final, because they should have already notified us, very final schedules for Chinese New Year. We were able to go out to our customers and say, hey, going with what's going on in the world, this is the, you know, Chinese New Year is being extended. We also have a lot of double source products that were being made also in India and Pakistan, so we could kind of shift and go to India and Pakistan for some products. We also, frankly, had a lot of customers putting holds on their orders because they weren't certain what their usage was going to be. So we were able to kind of walk a tightrope, I guess, against it, but we did have that kind of, it was so nice that it butted right up against the end of Chinese New Year for us. That really helped.
What is the one thing you love most about your job, and what do you find most challenging?
I'm going to start with challenging first. Actually, no, let me start with what I love most. I love that it's always something different, and I know that that's such a stock answer that everyone throws out there. There's always something different to do. There's always new stuff going on. I love that there is always a new customer who's got new ideas and they want something different, but I also love the fact that I now am knowledgeable enough that I've now been in this job. I think I just had my 6-year anniversary, I think, I don't remember. But I've been in there long enough to have the confidence to know that my answers to their questions, my first initial answer, is correct. So it's less of, let me go and figure out if we can actually do what you're wanting, and it's more, we can't do what you need, but we can do these 4 things that are different, but I'll give you the same effect and we'll meet all of your requirements. That I like. I like kind of that confidence and that ability to you know, come up with solutions for things. That's fun. It is monotonous, though. The basis for everything I do is a white sheet, a white towel, or a white bathrobe. So it's the challenge of finding the kind of creativity within that really appeals to me in a lot of ways, but there are days where it really doesn't. But I do kind of like having set templates that I can go into, change a color, change a thing, and send it out and be like, I know this will work. I know it's great. I already created the template. I already created all that. It's just a different hotel's name going on it. That I like. But it does kind of drain a little. There's not as much of the sketchbook work. There's not really any sketchbook work, to be honest, because I try to push customers away from graphic elements and color and stuff like that into things I know can be produced in the quantities that they want, in the way that they want, and in the time that they want. My logbook is unfortunately filled with, in the column with expected opening date or expected delivery date of ASAP. Every customer tells me that it's, and I'm like, but no, when are you opening? Oh, we're not opening until 2020, but we need the sheets now. And you're like, but you've got 2 years, 2022 is 2 years from now. Yeah, but we need all the samples in hand right now. And so it's kind of balancing that aspect. That gets frustrating.
It looks like most of the products are wovens. Do you guys ever do knits, or is that not as cost effective?
Knits are tricky. Knits actually, it's not so much the cost effective. Knits actually would be really cost effective. We do one set of knitted sheets in long-term care for hospitals, because they fit over a variety of beds and they're really great that way, which would make you think that they'd be great in hotels. Problem is, wovens shrink and knits grow. Wovens, we can manage that shrinkage through through the cotton content or the sizing. So we'll make it oversized so that the first 10 washes, you'll get all the shrinkage out of the way, all the pilling, all of that out of the way. So the customer can be confident that that sheet's not going to change size during its 100 washes they try to get out of those. So it's like 3 years, I think, that they try to get out of sheets. We do have customers who come out to us, and well, we had one who tried to return a sheet that ripped after 8 years. And we just kind of went, not on us, that's on you. The problem with knits is that they grow, and we can't accurately manage that growth rate. There's too many variables because knits don't tend to grow uniformly because of the way knits are made, right? It's one yarn that goes like this, so you get skewing and you get a little bit more warping. So they aren't as friendly for hotels. Another thing hotels do that I don't know if many people notice or realize when they're in a hotel bed, that a large portion of hotels do not use fitted sheets. They use flat sheets. So it'll be a flat sheet tucked, and then another flat sheet, and then a blanket or a duvet cover, and then another flat sheet. So it's called triple sheeting. And they do that so that they don't have to buy another piece of another product that they then have to store and launder and manage. They can just buy an extra set of sheets and it'll work on all their beds. So there's a reason why they don't go for things that are kind of knitted or things that are fitted. They tend to go for the flats. We have in the past tried to do throw blankets that were knitted. They looked really cool. But again, they skewed and stretched in a way we couldn't manage for our customers. We couldn't be confident about how the end product would live. So we tend to stick with wovens. We do knits in our robe line though. They work really well because it's basically apparel, and knits are always kind of good apparel. They have really good drapes, so people tend to like them in that area.
And it looks like this is our last question, so we're right on time. Could you please restate your job title and maybe touch on what other similar entry-level positions you may have seen or heard of that could lead into this type of work, pairing textiles and design with business?
That's a great question. So I am the manager of product. I am the manager of product development. My initial title was manager of product development and marketing. I will say a lot of what it is finding an entry-level job that has at least some of the things that you like. I do a little bit of merchandising. I do a little bit of product development, a little bit of textiles, and a lot of the business stuff. And I will say that job grew. It grew into what it is because I expressed interest in those areas. That's kind of how they knew that they could, give me more projects in other realms beyond straight up textile design or beyond product development, and, show me how things worked and how they went. And, I figured out the website yesterday. So it's more kind of, I don't know that there's necessarily an entry-level job that handles that. There could be an entry-level job that handles marketing and merchandising, which would be a great kickoff point for that kind of stuff, because it touches on a lot of those little parts. I know that there's assistant designer and all of that, that if you express an interest when you're working at those jobs, you tend to get more responsibilities, and maybe more responsibilities in things that you're interested in. Hope that was a good enough answer. It's hard when you've worked a job for so long to remember kind of how the job grew into itself. So I apologize.
That's fine, thank you. There are 2 more questions that just came in, but I need to shift gears now. So perhaps, Angela, you could type an answer. Do you see the Q&A window there?
I do. Let me see if I can.
So perhaps you could type those answers.
Okay. Let me see if I can.
Do you see it?
I see it, and let me see if I can answer them.
Great, thank you. So Angela, thank you very much. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our Dean, Mike Leonard. Take it away.
I even remembered to take myself off of mute, which is an amazing thing. Usually that's how you begin a Zoom presentation. So thank you very much. I'm Mike Leonard. I'm the Dean of the School of Design and Engineering and the Canbar College of Design, Engineering, and Commerce here at Thomas Jefferson University. This has been a wonderful and inspirational series. Everything that I've seen has just sort of captured the industry. To begin, I'd like to thank Jen Rhodes, Marshall Weiss, Becky, the Textile Design faculty for producing this series and for producing the talented students and wonderful alumni that came to present during the series. This is, as we tend to look at it, this is educators' gold. You get to see the inside workings of a career path that you may not know something about, or you may know something about only one section of it. I can tell you one thing, the recordings of this are going to be used on high schoolers everywhere to introduce them to this valuable subject matter. I couldn't think of a better collection of representatives of the field of textiles than Natalie, Jessica, Julia, Angela, Marcia, and Jen. If you were here for the whole series, you get a sense of the scope and depth of this important discipline. You have a sense of some of the ways our textile designers build on their inspiration or explore their artistry and craft and create bold designs that answer many needs, and then manage the application and the delivery complexities that present themselves. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our presenters for being just as dynamic and talented as you always are. Everyone in the field is great representatives for the field and our school. You know, as I was watching the series, I've been thinking about what I might say to describe how very important textiles are to our school, to our mission to educate confident new designers. I think it would be easy for me to describe our rich history and the decades of work that created the unique textile design curriculum. Our textile past is incredible. We stand on the shoulders of giants, creative giants in countless industries. But as you've participated in the series, you've experienced designers in the present talk about the path to the future of textiles, new designs, new materials, new applications, sustainable and responsible development and application of materials, and the new markets generating new value and answering emerging needs. You know, in this bizarre and uncertain time away from our studios and classrooms, I've been asked several times, is there a future for these academic disciplines? Is there a future for textile design? I think that for me, three facts shape the answer. First, textile design, like all of our disciplines, is about solving today's problems and answering today's needs to create value long into the future. As we've said, don't think too long about textile design in the past tense. The field is adapting constantly, and it's all about the future. Second fact, people have said to me, I do not know much about textile design. How's the job outlook? It's been asked several times. You know, will it survive the pandemic is then a popular question going forward. To all of that, I say absolutely it'll survive. We often have more good potential job opportunities than we have students to fill them. The job outlook is strong. Some of the problems in this current world crisis are actually caused by flaws in supply chain that's going to take some real talent to unravel. You heard some of that today. The textile field is all about managing and adapting and expanding the supply chain. Textile designers are playing a major role in solving some of our current problems, like the domestic and international PPE shortage. There are jobs for people who know how to fix things and for talented, well-trained people who know how to adapt creatively. Third fact, people have said schools are going to have a problem teaching students remotely. Textile design requires hands-on training. It can't be done, I'm told. Well, as you heard Marcia Weiss say in her presentation at the very beginning, we've got this, and we do. If you check the work of our online magazine, Jefferson Aspire, you see some of our students finish the semester away from our place, finish the semester in style, remotely, and with some incredible and beautiful work. I've had the pleasure, I have and continue to have the pleasure of working with some of the most talented instructors and technical staff that you can find anywhere. In my experience, their knowledge and the ability to deliver that knowledge is not bound by any media or any form of delivery. I'm confident that we have and will continue to find new ways to bring the absolute best to our students. We really do have this. So that's my presentation tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has them.
Thank you, Mike. Does any of you watching have any questions that you'd like to send in for Mike to answer? We have some thank yous, but I don't see any questions coming in.
Angela answered all of them.
I did my best.
So we just had a comment come in. I graduated from Philly U in 2020 for interior design, and I am planning to attend an extra year for my master's in sustainability. The textile design webinar has been so educational and exciting. I'm tempted to learn that major as well. Samantha, you should be contacting Marcia Weiss, and she can help you learn all about our graduate program. We'd love to have you.
I would say if you are an alumni right now, currently, we are offering to our alums that wish to come back and experience our programs, we're actually discounting some of the tuition. And since, depending on what vintage you are and what's in your portfolio, whatever's in your skill set, we may actually be able to shorten some of the time by adapting some of the foundational experiences. So definitely contact Marcia and explore that a little bit further, because it's an exciting time for us where we're able to do that for our alums.
Thank you. And yes, Valerie, you can come back and hang out anytime you want. Well, I would like to take this time to thank today's presenters. Angela and Mike, you ended the series with a bang for sure. And to all of you, thank you for joining us this week. You helped make our first webinar a huge success. We always say the best way to learn more about us is to come to campus and visit. But for now, please follow us on social media at Textile Design at Jefferson. By following our social media accounts, you'll learn more about upcoming events, you'll learn more about our next webinar series, and the popular request, the next Alumni Doom session. And if you don't know what that is, go back and watch some of the webinar sessions from earlier this week. You can also email me directly at jen.rhodes@jefferson.edu. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend and stay safe.